CMPradio.net, man. You already know it's your boy Uncle P, and we are live from the Cultivating Mature Positivity Studios. And I'm trying to make sure we're live on YouTube, and it doesn't appear that we are. Maybe we are, and I just can't see it. So let me go back. But today we're talking about diabetes, man, how to prevent it and how to deal with it while you have it, right? How to make sure you're healthy while you have diabetes, man. And I have my homeboy, man, Dr. Rinzi. How you feeling, good brother?
I'm feeling wonderful today.
Oh man, it's nice to see you. You know, we met at the book bag fair, the book bag giveaway and the resource fair held by Chester Upland School District, the city of Chester, and Tips and Nicole Dean, right?
Yes,
so it was
right.
It was nice to get out there. How often do you do events like that?
Once a month,
Okay.
sometimes more often.
Okay, all right. That's awesome, man. That's definitely awesome. How are you feeling?
I'm feeling great.
Right.
Just came up from the beach. I was on the beach this
Okay.
past weekend,
All
so I'm
right.
feeling great. Yes.
Right. Absolutely. So let's get into this, man. What led to your focus on research on diabetes and amputations?
I started out as a podiatrist, a foot doctor in North Philadelphia. I also had a practice in Abington, and the disparity between the pathology in North Philly versus Abington was quite apparent rather quickly. There's a lot more diabetes in North Philly, and the diabetes was having a tremendous harmful effect on the men of that area. So I started doing research, and wherever there's high rates of diabetes in kind of distressed communities, it seems there's a lot of poor outcomes. And those outcomes for lower extremities can be amputation. So we were trying to change those numbers and statistics. Spent the last 20 years, we just published a 15-year analysis of amputations in the entire state of Pennsylvania. And in that analysis, it shows that most of the amputations occur in North Philly, Chester, and Norristown.
Wow. Most black and brown communities.
Yes, and distressed communities where
Right.
there's some problems. Like Chester, we don't have a lot of primary cares.
Right.
We just lost our hospital, the closest hospital. There's no wound care facilities in Chester anymore. That makes it hard.
It makes it very hard.
Yes.
We do have Everest. Everest is an urgent care facility. I want to hit them up and talk to them. And the goal of the radio station is to bring the things that are affecting us, to bring them to the forefront and to talk about it, right? To dissect it and figure out how can we stop it, right?
Yes.
That's with everything that I try to go after. And it's not so much to put attention on the radio station, it's to put attention on the people that have the answers and can answer the question correctly, right? So when we sat down at the book bag giveaway and you told me all this stuff, I said, man, you got to come through. We got to do an interview. How does diabetes specifically increase the risk of amputations?
Diabetes is a lot of sugar getting into your arteries and clogging them up. That's the simplest way to think of it. Diabetes comes from carbohydrates. The carbohydrates get broken down into sugar, and then of course you take sugar with a lot of your foods. If you're drinking sodas, there's lots of sugar, and that sugar just clogs up the arteries. It makes your arteries thicker, and they get sticky on the inside. They actually get sticky on the inside, and that makes the blood that's trying to flow through there difficult, and then you don't get as much blood to those extremities or to your eyes, and that causes problems. Your blood is essential for maintaining health to all the cells of your body.
So you just said that, and I want to run down there are 14 different ways that diabetes can affect you, right? Causes damage throughout the body over time, right?
Yes.
Major areas affected include blood vessels.
Yes. Oh yeah.
Poor circulation.
Right.
Right.
And if it can clog up the arteries going to your heart,
Right.
then it causes a heart attack. If
Yep.
you can clog up the arteries in your neck, that'll cause a stroke. If it clogs up the arteries going to your eyes, you get retinopathy, poor vision, which is very common in diabetics.
Right.
So That's why an eye exam is so important. They can actually look into your eye and actually see the
it.
arteries.
Right.
And they actually can see if they're getting clogged up. So that is essential that you get that checked because they can tell right away if there's a problem coming.
Kidneys.
Kidneys, the same thing. It clogs up the arteries to your kidneys, then you start getting kidney troubles. It's very common for a diabetic to develop kidney trouble,
Right.
and that can lead to serious problems, of course.
Your skin infection, slow healing, dryness.
Yeah. Diabetics definitely have a problem with dry skin, and that's a sign that the blood is not getting to the outer layer of your skin. It gets dry and it starts to die off. In a sense, it exfoliates. Yes, so skin is very important. You got to have good blood flow. You got to keep that blood flowing.
How do you keep the blood flowing? Right. What do you do?
If you have diabetes, you got to keep that diabetes managed. It's your A1C, which is what we use to measure diabetes, has to be below 7. You have to keep it below 7. And of course, even if you're 8 or 9, your A1C is 8 or 9, you just got to exercise. You got to keep the blood flowing by moving. You know, you move, walk, go for a long walk.
Right.
Every day you got to walk. If you can do some exercise, that's even better. You know, lift weights, run a little bit. That's great. Anything you do can keep the blood flowing. It's like any plumber will tell you, if you keep the water moving, it won't clog up. It won't.
Right.
You know, right? So you kind of got to keep it moving. You got to keep the blood flow going, and it won't clog up.
I'm big on this sexual health.
Yes. Oh, yep. Diabetics definitely have a problem with ED. The small arteries to the penis get clogged up pretty easily, and then they don't work so good. You know, so it's the same thing. You got to keep that blood flow going. You got to keep the amount of sugar in your system as low as you can.
And that
is hard, but it's something you can do.
That's cutting out on what?
Soda.
Right.
Anything with a lot of sugar.
Right.
Anything with a lot of high complex carbohydrates or processed carbohydrates. You know, potato chips and those type of things. They turn into sugar once they're metabolized in your body.
Wow.
Potato chips is almost all sugar. You know, a lot of snacks and donuts and things like that have a lot of that's carbohydrates. It turns into sugar.
Come on, Dad.
Yeah, so you got to keep that to a minimum if you can, or if you're eating those things, and that is a major problem. You got to burn that off by exercising. One of the problems we see is that the poor outcomes of diabetes definitely concentrates in the male community. And that's because men tend to be bigger than women, right? We're bigger. We need more calories. We're doing more physical work.
Absolutely.
So you need more calories. Somebody who's doing construction, he's going to need 4,000 or 5,000 calories a day to maintain himself. And that a lot of those calories are going to come through carbohydrates, because that carbohydrates are the cheapest food. They're the most available food. So you take a lot of those carbohydrates, and if you don't burn it all off, it's going to accumulate in your system.
Absolutely. I see. I had a family member that was dealing with diabetes, and he just sat there, right? And I just noticed like how his skin was getting hard, and you feel me? It's like you're calcifying outside.
Yes.
You feel me? Like
hardening out of the arteries.
Yeah. His feet, right? It's like, come on, cuz man, get yourself together. But certain people give up, right? So back in the day, I know there was a lot about, black men running from the weakness of being diabetic.
Yes.
Right? Do you know why someone would consider that to be a weakness outside of them always having a fight, right? Why someone would consider that to be weak?
Well, I think I think men are taught to ignore a lot of things, right? Diabetes is a disease that doesn't give you a lot of symptoms in the beginning, so they tend to ignore it.
Right.
But that's the wrong thing to do with diabetes. Diabetes is considered a sneaky disease. It sneaks up on you very slowly. Right. But in the beginning, you don't get those symptoms. So, so a lot of guys tend to ignore that. With it. Right. It's not, I'm a big, strong guy. I'll worry about that later.
Absolutely.
But it's too late. And the reason we know that is we know a lot of men appear in emergency rooms with diabetes totally out of control with a gangrenous foot. We have those statistics that show that it's men men 3 times more than women. Women are much more attentive to their diabetes. If they get diabetes, they're much more attentive to it. If they have to take 1 unit of insulin each morning, they take that 1 unit. Men kind of like, oh, I'll take it tomorrow, or So we need to get men to be a little more attentive to the diabetes if they have it, and just more attentive to their diet. Things like that, those things do work. Women have much less complications from diabetes because they are more attentive to their diabetes.
Absolutely, absolutely. Oh, man. Beyond amputations, what are the most serious complications you see from diabetes?
It probably has to be the eyes, right?
Okay.
The eyes, the arteries are very small and they clog up, and that causes poor vision, and then they actually lead to blindness. And that's probably the other. So amputations, retinopathy, the poor vision, and then kidneys. They're the 3 things that diabetics see very early in life. And we're talking much earlier. A lot of them are in their 40s and 50s. If you have diabetes for 10 years, you're at risk of any of those: kidney disease, retinopathy, or amputation. So it comes quickly. And we are noticing that people are being diagnosed earlier in the course, right? They're being diagnosed in their 20s and 30s because we tend to eat a lot of
sugar when we're young.
Yeah.
Right.
Yeah.
Sugar when we're young. I'm trying to get my daughter to stop with the candy and the chips, right? Because I don't want to take her and she has to now she's diabetic, right?
Right.
And I think when we deal with children with diabetes, that becomes a parent issue, right? Because you weren't doing what you were supposed to do, right? So I don't never
very difficult.
And I be trying, Doc, but it's complicated because no one knows these things, right? What we're talking about right now is something that's not being jammed down our throat constantly, right?
I think it's the opposite. I think that the companies are pushing bad food because it's cheap on our children.
It ain't cheap no more, Doc. When everything, it's not cheap no more, right? Yeah. It's expensive to buy a whatever, right?
True. Yep.
$2 for a Reese cup. You only get 2 Reese cups. It's crazy, bro. But anyway, how does poor circulation and nerve damage affect healing in diabetic patients?
Well, nothing heals without blood, right? So if you get a little, in fact, we just saw a case where somebody bumped their little toe, bumped the little toe in the middle of the night, and got a little sore, a little opening, and it did not heal right away, and it got infected. And then once that infection sets in, it got to the bone inside, and the only way to cure that is to remove the infected bone. So that's what happens. So poor circulation, the arteries get clogged up. It doesn't give you any symptoms until it's really kind of bad, and usually that you discover it after you get a wound or a damage, and that damage won't heal. Nothing heals without blood. So if you're not getting blood to your foot, or the arteries are a little bit clogged up, you can't get antibiotics there, right? Because you take antibiotics to kill infection, but they go in your mouth, they go down your stomach. They have to get in the arteries and go down to your foot. If the arteries are clogged, the antibiotic can't get there. So the only way to cure it is to remove the infected area. And that results is an amputation.
What mental health challenges do you see connected to diabetes?
Mental health is really important because men, like I said before, tend to think of themselves as very tough and kind of ignore little things, little problems. And that is a strategy that is really bad if you have diabetes, right? Diabetes, you got to take care of it early, and it's got to be very consistent and persistent. And a lot of times you have no symptoms in the early stages of diabetes, but you got to take care of it or it gets severe. So men, because we are, we all admire the tough football player who takes a little injury and keeps playing and things like that. But in real world, if you develop diabetes, we have to not be as tough and be more receptive to help and to education and to change, so we can not ignore those little things and go for them and stop these outcomes.
Oh man. What lifestyle habits have you seen make the biggest difference for patients?
Definitely the biggest difference is exercise, right? That is really what, regardless of what your A1C is, your management, or how much diabetes you have, exercise makes the difference. And I say exercise, it can be long walks, it can be weightlifting, but exercise definitely makes the difference. If you have an exercise bike, that is awesome for increasing your circulation. And you can increase your circulation by using a bicycle or running or walking. So exercise is still the key. And it burns off a lot of the blood sugar that's in your system. You can burn it off if you exercise. So motion, exercise, that's really the key.
Doc, why do we stop exercising?
It gets hard after a while, right?
Exercising isn't expensive, though.
No, it's not
Right?
expensive.
You can just go outside and walk,
Yeah.
grab some weights, and walk down the street swinging the weights.
Yep.
I gotta get. I'm gonna be honest. I gotta start doing that myself. I was walking, I was doing everything, but then life happened.
Yes.
So I understand what you mean. Go ahead.
I think that is the thing. Life happens, right? We're all busy. We all have busy schedules now, right? Everybody's 24/7 anymore. You're getting calls in the middle of the night and early in the morning, late in the afternoon. So it's hard to cut out maybe an hour so that you can just exercise.
Right.
So I think that's really a problem with modern society. And the other thing is that we sit all the time now.
Yeah.
We're in front of computers and things. So we don't tend to get as much exercise.
Did you ever see that cartoon Wall-E?
Oh yeah.
How everybody was sitting on the joint and just ordering food off their phone, ordering stuff that they needed off their phone. It was all just laying there with the.
Yep.
And it shows me, it's like, wow, like that's really coming to fruition because
it is.
We got Amazon, we got Grubhub, we got Uber Eats, we got all these things that just come to us. We don't have to go outside, we don't have to move anymore. And it's like, wow, man. No, I want to go to the mall. I want to walk around the mall. I remember I used to go to the mall and see the people walking around inside of the mall, right?
That's right, yeah.
It's air conditioned. It's not super hot, right? So now we don't have these malls anymore. Everything's outside, and it's just like, oh, man. Like, what do we do?
In some ways, it's gotten harder for people to exercise. We're just more a sedentary society now than ever. And like you said, we can just order food and it just comes to you. So,
yeah. How does diet and access to healthy food play into this crisis?
Diet's definitely the key for diabetics. You can't really have good diabetes management without a good diet, right? If you're eating lots of carbohydrates, there's almost no way of controlling your diabetes. You got to be able to have some carbohydrates, but more protein. You can't just have carbohydrates in your diet, and access to that better food is key. That's why we do know that the poor outcomes occur in North Philly and Chester and places where it's hard to get good food. Places where Swarthmore and Villanova, where they have really high-end foods, they have very low amputations and very low kidney disease because they tend to get the better foods, and they fill up on proteins and meat that fills them up without having to take an excessive amount of processed calories, which turn into sugar for you.
I'm not going to say what I want to say. You know what I want to say, Doc, but I'm not going to say it because I'm not trying to do it. Anyway, we're talking about areas that have access to good food. We're talking about areas that don't have a Chinese store on every block, right? We're talking about areas that don't have a Poppy store on every block, where they're serving good food, where they're giving fruits and vegetables and teaching their children how to eat, right? Why do you think, not why, how can we help? What kind of services can be brought to Chester to help us eat better, to do better, to be better?
We need to bring fresh produce to Chester.
Right.
And I think we are starting to do that. People are more aware of the importance of fresh produce, and I think that the communities are trying to do that.
Right.
So that's the biggest thing we can do is have our kids eat some fresh produce, some fresh fruit and vegetables.
Right.
That fills you up, and then you don't go for those processed calories.
Absolutely.
That's really important.
Yeah.
And we need to, and it is hard for a community like Chester to develop those. You know, it's easier for wealthy communities. It's fairly easy because the farmers want to bring their produce there.
Right.
They don't want to bring it here because they don't sell as much of it and things like that. But we need to develop that. I mean, I think that's one thing that we can work on is developing more ways to get fresh produce.
Well, we do have a farm
Yep.
located in Chester, over in the Bennett homes. There's a farm. I'm gonna go over there and talk to them and get them to do an interview because I think it's all a part of the pie.
That's a great piece.
And if we're not doing and we don't know how to do, then we need to talk to people that know how to do, right? And if we have a farm, right, then we have vegetables, we have fruit, right? Linville Orchard is close, right? You got apples. Right.
There you go.
Let's start to show our children who they can be and what they can be,
Yes.
right? By doing it ourselves, right?
Yes.
By the parents doing it themselves. So,
Yep.
I want everyone to understand when I do podcasts where we're talking about the things that can change our community, right? I'm all in. Right, I'm all in for that, right? And I want people to realize that they can be all in as well, right? You can help. Anything that you want to do, just do it, right? And I will support you. So if you know somebody that has a farmer, Phil Abundance, let's get Phil Abundance to come down here to other areas, right? I know they're doing it now, and I applaud everyone that is doing it now. At the book bag giveaway, Boeing was out there. They were giving out fruit and vegetables, right? I didn't know they were doing that. That was all the way in the back. If I would have known they were doing that, I would have been able to talk about them, right? But shout out to Boeing and everything that they're doing, right? Shout out to Phil Abundance, right? Come to my city. Come to Chester more often, right? Drop off some food. Shout out to No Q Towner, who's always up Philly, giving away food, feeding the people, right? He was ahead of this before I was on it, right? So I want to give a huge shout out to him, right? Because he's helping his community eat properly. He's helping his community understand who they are, right? So they can want more, right? You can't want more unless you realize who you are, right? You have to love yourself. You have to love yourself. Doc, what are the amputation rates? Why are the amputation rates higher in Black and brown communities?
Diabetes is more prevalent in the Black community, and it's becoming more prevalent in the Hispanic community because of a lot of that is diet. Some of it's genetics, right? Black bodies have a little harder time processing carbohydrates genetically than other bodies. Black bodies did not see carbohydrates till 250 years ago when they came here. Right before that, they were eating fruits and vegetables and
eating from the earth.
That's right.
Right.
So that change, that rapid change, they weren't able to. Their bodies weren't able to adjust. White bodies were seeing carbohydrates back, they say, and it started baking in the 11th and 12th century. So they, it was cold in Germany,
Right.
and so they started baking things, hot things,
Right.
and they started seeing carbohydrates then. So our bodies, white bodies, got a little more used to carbohydrates.
Right.
So anyway, there's more predisposition to diabetes in the Black community. And then if you live in a community where there's not real great food choices, you tend to, again, go to those carbohydrates because they're cheaper and more plentiful. McDonald's for a long time targeted lower income neighborhoods because they knew those stores in those areas would do really well. So, and they, in Villanova, they fought any McDonald's that came there. They had the power to say, no, we're not having it here.
Right. Wow.
So those things have led to, Black men being exposed to a lot of carbohydrates and getting used to those at early ages. And so it's harder to change that. And we're seeing that in the Hispanic community. Mexican men did not have a high amputation rate in Mexico. When they come here, they start, eating at McDonald's too.
Right.
They're doing a lot of, they're doing landscaping and roofing.
Right.
And
fast food. They gotta eat fast. They gotta
and
eat fast, right?
And more calories, and what's the easiest thing to do? Go to McDonald's and upsize, and that type of thing. So we're starting to see them develop a lot of diabetes now, and they're developing the amputations.
Give me some of the best fruits and vegetables to eat. Right?
Broccoli still considered the best food to eat.
Right.
Apples, peaches, they're all really healthy foods.
Right.
Anything that's green,
Right.
Green beans and those type of things, they're all good for you. They're going to fill you up. Broccoli and green beans can fill you up, especially you can have a little bread with it. That'll fill you up, and then you won't go for the processed food, which turns to sugar.
So when you have diabetes, I remember they said you can't drink orange juice.
Well, orange juice has a lot of sugar in it.
Oh.
The orange juices today are kind of, yes,
Right.
they have a lot of sugar in it because it makes it taste better.
Right.
And it takes away from the acidity a little bit.
Right,
so,
right.
So they're putting sugar in
the orange juice. That's crazy.
Yeah.
But you can eat an orange. You can eat a regular
orange. Yes.
Okay.
Yes.
All right.
It does turn a little bit to sugar, but it's a less of a complex sugar, so it gets metabolized fairly easy.
Okay.
Whereas a sugar from eating French fries
Right.
is a complex carbohydrate, and you're hard for your body to metabolize that. So it just kind of clogs up your arteries. So it stays in you.
All right. Can you give me the different types of diabetes?
There's type 1 and type 2,
Okay.
and there is a type 3 now, but it's just recently been described as type 3. Really, the main ones are type 1 and type 2. Type 1 is more a genetic one. You usually get that, in your
child.
as a child,
Right.
because you're kind of born with that problem.
Right.
Type 2 comes later when you just your pancreas secretes insulin, and that allows you to digest the carbohydrates. But if you eat a lot, your pancreas keeps working, and finally it starts to stop working.
Done.
And then you're diabetic. Yes,
I quit.
Yes, that's right. That's right.
Yeah, that's crazy. Like, you were talking about type 3. What is type 3?
Well, type 3 is kind of a in between. It's where you don't have the ability to digest carbohydrates, even if you have some insulin in you,
Right.
and your insulin doesn't seem to work as well, the insulin itself you become resistant to it, the insulin in a sense. So your body's producing insulin, but it's not really doing what it's supposed to do. So it's a third form. It's kind of a newer form that they're talking about.
Man. Well, Doc, listen, man. However I can help, I'm here. I want to continue these conversations. I want you to bring other people on. I want you to bring, if we can get some people in the community that have been diagnosed with diabetes to come on and talk about their journey through diabetes and how they were able to change and find the good food and find the good help to get them to be able to live with diabetes. I would love to talk to people that have had body parts amputated, right? To talk about how they feel now about doing what they're supposed to do to be here for their grandkids or their children. Listen, this is not just one hit. Right, one conversation. I think this is a continual conversation, right? And I would love for you to be a part of it. I would love for you to come through and do this, right? Because that's why the radio station is here, right?
I would be happy to do that. And I have access to some other physicians who would love to talk. We have lots of patients we've come across who have lost body parts, and we also have a lot of men who are doing perfectly with their diabetes, even though they've done years of diabetes. They handle it really well, and they would be great to get their story out because they do it right.
You could even do a panel discussion, right, and invite everybody out to talk about diabetes. I don't have the money to do that, Doc, so I don't know if Jefferson or you have a
we can do that. Yeah, we can do that. Save your souls. Yeah, we can do that. Yeah. Yep.
Right. So I'm sure
save your souls. Yes, that's right. That's what we're trying to do. Save your souls.
I'm sure the Cat Center wouldn't have a problem. Wink, wink. Right, with us doing it there, right? Or whoever wants to partner with us. This is what it's about, man. It's about saving our community, getting our community to think more about themselves internally and externally. How to help your community move forward, right? This is not a money grab. This is not the radio station. This is not what the radio station was built for. Right, the radio station was built to give information to our community. So, Doc, I'd like to thank you for wanting to come up to me and talk to me and give me the information so I can help you, you can help me, and we can help the community, bro.
That's right. We'll make these numbers go down for sure.
Let's go, man. CMPradio.net, man. You know it's your boy Uncle P, man. I am in. So check this out. I got a phone call today from a young lady who has diabetes. How do you say type 1?
Type 1.
Right. and she was talking about retinopathy, right?
Yeah.
Doc walked in, and I told them both, right? There's a reason you called me today. See, I understand now. I get it now. God don't make no mistakes. You understand what I'm saying? So when there's somebody you need to talk to, there's something that needs to happen, he puts it on your lap. Right now, it's your job to grab it and put it over the goal line. I'm gonna say it's like a tush push, right? You have to put it over the goal line. Shout out to the Eagles, man. You like how I did that? Anyway, good. Right? When you get an opportunity to talk about what you're challenged with, how you found ways through it, how you continue to maneuver through it. When you get that opportunity, man, you got to talk about it, right? So major shout out to her, man. I'm not going to put her out there, but she's coming to the radio station. We're going to do some things with her. We're going to get her active and get her moving. I'm very impressed with her, right? She has a business. She's doing good things, right? She's a single mom, right? But she's continuing to move forward. And she says, I'm working out. I'm doing everything I need to do. You feel me? Like I just fall off sometimes, right? Because it's hard, right? Sure. It's hard to put your body on a routine when you're not used to that routine, and no one around you has to do the routine, right? So it's like coming together in your community with people that are dealing with the same things you're dealing with, right? With people that have to walk, with people that have to exercise, with people that have to eat healthy, right? That's what makes you a community, right? And I love everybody in this community. So let's do it. Let's do it right. Let's get out here. Let's save our souls, man. I want to thank Dr. Rinzi, man, for coming through, man. Blessed me with a shirt. I know it's a big shirt. Where is that? Right there. You see it? Right?
Yep. Save your souls. That's right.
I want to thank him for that. And listen, we're going to come through with a panel. We're going to come through with some more people to talk about diabetes and how it's affecting our community. But we also want to find the things that can help us be better. Right, so we want to find, fill abundance. If you're giving out food, come on. Do I have to reach out? Do I have to do it? If I have to do it, I can do it right out front of the radio station. We can make it happen, man. That's what we're gonna do, man. CMPRadio.net. Shout out to Dr. Kristen Motley, man. Major shout out to her, right? Because I'm going to get her involved with this, and we're going to make it happen, bro. We're going to bring it together. You need support when you're dealing with the things that you're dealing with, right? So this is for the brothers that have already had their legs amputated, for the brothers that don't think you can get your legs amputated, for the sisters that know, I know you're taking care of yourself. I appreciate you. Continue to take care of these brothers, man. Continue to motivate them to go to the doctors, to get checked out, because last thing you want to do is find out that it's worse than what you thought it was. Last thing whatever it is, right? Let's get healthy. Come on, people. Let's get healthy. Come on, Chester. Let's get healthy, man. CMPRadio.net, man. Your boy Uncle P. I love you on purpose, man. Have a great day today, and I'm out of here.